welcome to today's webinar, Fleet Management Using Here Location Services and Azure. My name is Daniela Bentrup. I'm Senior Marketing Specialist at Here Technologies. If you have any questions during the session, please feel free to put them in the chat window and we'll save some time at the end to answer them for you. In this workshop, we'll build an intuitive fleet management application to optimize your logistics operations using Here Location Services and Microsoft Azure Event Hub, Azure Serverless Functions, and Azure Cosmos DB. And with that, I'd like to introduce Shruti Kuber, Senior Developer Evangelist at Here. Shruti, I pass it to you.
Thank you, Daniela, for the introduction. So, hey everyone, my name is Shruti Kuber. As Daniela said, I am a developer evangelist at Here Technologies. And my job is basically to help you developers use APIs and create amazing use cases on top of them. So as part of this, today I am bringing to you a workshop in which we will learn how to build a fleet management application, a fleet management service using Here Location Services and Azure Services. So if again, like Daniela said, if you have any questions, if you feel I'm going too slow, too fast, feel free to put it in the questions window and we will respond to the questions at the end of the workshop. If the suggestion is that I'm too slow or I'm too fast, I'm going to take a look at it and change my pace. So hopefully you'll all be able to create this application with me. And the second thing would be that a recording of this workshop will be sent to all the registered users later. So you'll also have that as a guideline for this workshop. So without further ado, let's begin with the fleet management workshop with Here Location Services in Microsoft Azure. So before we begin the workshop itself, I would like to tell you what Here Technologies is. So if you haven't already heard of us, we are a location technology company. We make maps and we have offices all over the world. Like you can see, we have offices all over the world, which help us collect this map data, organize it and make meaningful data out of it, and then have it in different layers and then build applications or build APIs on top of it. And what these APIs do is these are powerful routing engines, geocoding engines, which help users to build location-aware applications with our APIs. And to do this, like I said, we've been doing this for a long time. It started as a map-making company in 1985. And since then, we've moved on to different company names, different applications. We have about 9,000 people all across the world collecting this data for us and working towards making this location technology rich company and providing this data to developers. And so once, like I said, once we have this location data, what do we do with it, right? We collect thousands of terabytes of data, and what do you actually do with it? So what we essentially do is we make sense of this data. We aggregate this data into meaningful layers, meaningful data labels, and then we've built tools, we've built APIs, SDKs on top of it for developers to use them into your application, into your own products. So if you were to build, let's say, a food delivery app, then you would use our APIs to build it. You will not have to, let's say, you will not have to build the logic. You'll not have to build the algorithm for finding the shortest path or the fastest path from A to B. We've done that for you. You would just have to input some parameters and then get the route directly. So again, some stats about the company. There's we have I think we need to upgrade this, but we have definitely more than 260K developers right now. I think we have around 350 developers on board, 350,000 developers on board. We have we get around 80 billion API calls per day with our APIs. We have more than 48 use cases, different types of use cases all across industries. And like I said, when I said that the company started with just making maps, so that was if you were to see the Volkswagens, the BMWs, or any 4 out of 5 cars in North America, the inbuilt navigation system was provided or based on our maps. So that was how it came to be. So that is how the data journey is, wherein while we had the map data, the location data, we've now gone on to make it available for developers to use it for their own applications. And so if you think about what kind of applications do you want to use this location data? So intuitively, you have automotive services, transportation, logistics, retail, e-commerce, etc. Right? But on top of that, you also have things like telecom industries trying to use location data to, let's say, where do I set up the next tower, right? Something like that. Then you have the public sector, which uses location data to basically help come up with new schemes to have better urban mobility, urban management kind of solutions. You have the real estate department or the real estate industry, which uses our data to take a look at market prices, housing prices, and areas that need to be developed, and so on and so forth. There's a bunch of industries which use location data to enhance their products, their offerings, and then you can go and use these products or use these products in different markets. You can launch them into different markets. And so again, we're not alone. We're not doing this alone. We do this with collaborating with a bunch of partners. We have associations, integrations with different partners, like you can see, and not only these, but like we have a few more depending on what region market are we catering to. And so with all of this, what we've done is the Here Location platform. And the way you would access this as a developer is we have the map content. Then we have the platform foundation, wherein we have ingested the map content in meaningful layers, in meaningful ways. On top of that, you have the Here Location services, which are the APIs. So there's about more than 20 APIs. So actually more than 25 APIs, more than 20 are available from the freemium plan for developers. So I'm going to talk about that later, but more than 20 which are available as the freemium plan for developers to work with. And on top of that, you also have tools like the Here Studio. If you are not a developer and want to, let's say, use map data for visualization, you could use the Here Studio, wherein you can inject map data directly and then use it for visualization purposes, data analysis purposes. Then you have the workspace, wherein you can use the APIs, create your own applications, and then get some more data from the Here marketplace, or even put in your own data onto the Here marketplace for others to consume. So this is how the Here location platform ecosystem works. And to add to it, to make life easier for developers, we have also partnered with different developer ecosystems and have integrations within them. So you have AWS Marketplace, AWS Serverless, we have Azure, we have integration with MuleSoft, SAP, and there's more to come. So I'm going to take a pause here and ask Daniela to kindly pull up a poll so that we can get some feedback from you as to what kind of workshops, or rather what kind of ecosystems are you working on currently, or would you like to work on? So Daniela, if you could please go ahead.
Yeah, so we have a poll question we would like you to take a few moments and respond to. That question is, what developer ecosystems do you currently work on? You can choose up to 2. AWS, Azure, IBM, SAP, MuleSoft.
So yeah, feel free to choose up to 2 of them. If you are specifically using just one, you can also select just one. I think somebody said my voice was not clear. This is me asking you again if it is clear or not. If the voice is okay, just let me know.
So, and just saying the poll is completely anonymous, so don't be shy about voting. We keep it open another few seconds and we share the results. see definitely some good votes coming in. Maybe if we give it 5 more seconds, so you, in case you haven't had the chance to vote. So yeah, we're closing the poll now and sharing the
Okay.
results.
So I think if you can see the poll results screen, it is obvious that AWS is one of the most popular ecosystems that everyone is working on, and then followed by Azure. So if you stay until the end of this webinar, I will share with you a few resources, a few workshops, webinars that we already have, where we have talked about integrations with AWS ecosystem. So stay tuned for that. But as from the polls, we can clearly see that Azure has turned out to be the second most famous or most used, I would say, popular ecosystem. And so, which is why I have selected this for the webinar or the workshop today. So we can get ahead with it. So I'm going to start with talking about how fleet tracking in general works, as the high level ideas of what fleet tracking is, right? So you have a person who, let's say, owns a bunch of trucks which carry goods from place A to B every day, every month, or however the schedule is, right? And so you have these trucks which are fitted with IoT enabled fleet tracking devices. And these fleet tracking devices they started with just giving like a lat and long, like just having GPS, GNSS chips, to really powerful devices which can give you accelerometer readings. It can give you fuel sensor readings, the temperature, the fuel temperature, or the coolant temperature for that matter, not the fuel temperature, sorry. So the coolant temperature of the truck and all these other insights that help you not only track your vehicle, but also have insights from them as to can you make it more efficient? Because in the end, the goal with fleet management systems is to make it efficient in terms of the turnaround time, efficient in terms of money, definitely, and efficient in terms of the how much goods can you carry in a single given or the shortest period of time, right? So you want to optimize your application always. And so the way it works is you have an IoT enabled device, you have a GPS GNSS chip in it, which gets the location or which gets signals from the satellites. With the triangulation method, it computes a location, it computes a latitude and longitude. And along with this latitude and longitude, along with this, it also collects data from the truck, the vehicle itself, and it sends it to a cloud, a cloud application. So now, when you say cloud, again, this is a vague term, as you know. It's a vague term as to what happens there. But basically, we're saying, hey, take this data and do something with it. So what happens when you go in that ecosystem? What is inside? So if you think about the Microsoft Azure ecosystem, what happens is when you send some data, you have the Azure Event Hub, which captures this data. So the Event Hub captures this data, and then you need to process it to put it into a database. So to do that, you need to write Azure serverless function, which acts like a trigger, which builds a trigger, and you can have the trigger for one event or multiple events. You can design it the way you want, and once you have that trigger built in, the trigger says, hey, if you get one event in the event hub, please push it into the Azure Cosmos DB. And of course, you do process the data there if you want to, but this is how it generally works. And once you have that ecosystem built, then you go on the front end, you need to build a web application. So as for the fleet owner, what they see is their own browser and their browser and the application URL that you give them, some login credentials, and they can see the fleet dashboard. But what lies behind that dashboard is a web application, which you can create using the Azure Web App. So when you create that web app, you link it to the database system, to the whole Azure database system to bring data from there. In the application itself, you create a dashboard which is easily understandable for the user, for the fleet owner to see, hey, I see my truck there. I see that it has a certain fuel level. Maybe it should, maybe it needs servicing. Maybe it needs to come back, or maybe it is broken down and it needs assistance. I know where the truck is, and then I can send someone to make the repairs or something like that. So that is how the whole system looks like. So you have the IoT enabled devices sending in data, you have the whole event hub, serverless function, Cosmos DB uh, integration, and then you have the browser, which is interacting with the web app, which is interacting with the data. And so this is a very fast forwarded version. Give me a second. I think I pressed subtitles. I think it's okay. So yeah, so basically this is how you would build a complete fleet management system, and wherein you would have all this data. Now, for this specific workshop, if you want to know how we would do this and why is Here Technologies and Azure collaborating, right? Why would you need to collaborate, or where would we collaborate? So the place where we collaborate is at a few different places. So what we're doing is we are making this process simpler for you. So I'm going to show this. So what we're doing is this process, we're simplifying it for you. And what we're doing next is that we are providing you with a template. So what is a Here template? A Here template would be a Azure Resource Manager template, and we have sort of provided that template to you to work with or to bundle these resources. So the Event Hub, the serverless function, and the Azure Cosmos DB integration, we have combined that and made a template for you, which you can launch directly and then get started without worrying about what happens in the backend. So you don't have to, you just probably have to configure it slightly, but you can just use this template and create your first application within an hour. And then you try to understand how it is made, try to understand what goes on in it, and then maybe take it further and then create your own or modify it to create your own customized application on top of it. So let's go ahead with this. So again, where would you do all this? How would you start, right? Where would you start? So the first place where would you would start is by going to developer.here.com/event/NIPP. So I would encourage all of you to go there. I'm going to keep the URL on the screen, as well as Daniela will also send you the URL in the chat box. So use the URL to go to developer.here.com and sign up. Now, as a part of a developer offering, what we have is a freemium plan. And the freemium plan gives you 250,000 transactions per month, which are free. So what you can do is basically you can say, hey, I want to try out the APIs and I want to build a test app and see how it goes, right? And you can do that while being within the freemium offering. So you wouldn't have to pay us anything. And again, to start with, you don't have to use a credit card as well. So it's a no credit card required login. So you just get your credentials, and we are going to use these credentials in our application, in our workshop going further. So if you have already done it, super. If you haven't, please go to developer.here.com/event/NIPP. The link is in the chat, and log in and create a freemium account for yourselves. So once you do that, I'm going to move on to the actual the workshop part of it. So again, once you do that, once you have your credentials here, let me deal with my highlighter. I think this is always an issue. Okay, so we have, so I am at developer.your.com. Once I sign up with a free account, I can just log in. And if you can see, uh, if you open up your accounts, you'll see a project created. So you'll have a freemium project created. And if you open it up, you will have your JavaScript API keys, your REST APIs key. So you probably have like an empty space here which says create key. And so you can create up to two. So first it says create API, and then it will say create key. So you can go ahead and create your JavaScript API key here, which we will use in our workshop. So I'm going to give 5 minutes there just to go ahead and create those things. Meanwhile, I'm going to take a look at some questions that you might already have. So there are some interesting questions which I would rather answer in the end. There's a couple of questions which I'm looking forward to answering in the end. So just have some patience, and I will answer them in the end because it's an interesting product that I will be talking about. And definitely, someone is asking if you could do the workshop, the hands-on part of it later. You can definitely do that later. This will be a recording that will be sent to you. I will also share a written tutorial version of this later as well. So you can do it on your own time. But I would encourage that you do it or at least be present while we do this workshop together. So I'm going to move ahead with this. So once you have your API key available, I would go ahead to portal.azure.com/home, create your account if you haven't already. It also has a freemium version in the sense that it has some $170 or $200 worth or 170 euros worth of credit, which they give you as a starting credit where you can create your application and test it. So again, for this workshop, you won't have to pay a single rupee, a single dollar, a single euro in any way. So once you're here, what you want to search for is just type in here and you'll see a bunch of other ARM templates that we've created. And so, like I said, these ARM templates are usually our APIs, some serverless function along with them, and then some other integration like the Event Hub, the Cosmos DB, or some other integration with this. So for today's workshop, you need to select the here maps and location services for data streams. So I'm going to keep that open for a while and you can just copy it and save it so you can have it later. So again, this is the here maps and location data for data streams wrapper or template. And with this template, we have all our APIs. So the geocoding API, the routing API, the places API, it is based on this. And then you have the event hub, you have the Cosmos DB integration, and then you have a serverless function that we've created. So what you need to do is click on create. And once you click on create, use the free trial, create a new resource group. So I'm going to call it NIPP trial. Okay. Click on create new and type NIPP trial. It checks if it's a unique name. So it looks like it's unique. Select your region. Next, go to the Here API key section. Now, once you have copied this key, so again, go to your projects and you'll see that you have your keys here. And so choose your key and paste it here. So we are going to use the JavaScript API key. You can, so one of the things that you might ask is, hey, I can see your key and I can copy it and use it for myself and then bill you for it, right? So yes, but one of the safest things is you can also, if you are not using it within a serverless function, you can also like make an allow list where you can allow only certain domains to use your key. And with the serverless function, eventually your key will be hidden, so you don't have to worry about someone taking your key from you or like billing you for that key. And like I said, your account is connected with your key. So all the transactions that are built based on what key was used to make transactions. So that's that. And you're going to click on review and create. It takes some time to create this. It will take some time to deploy this. So we may have to wait for a couple of minutes. So while this is in progress, I can talk to you about how and what happens in this serverless function, what happens in after you have ingested data. You have your application, and this application calls for the data, but what does it do? So your application then creates a web app. So I'm going to show you a demo that we created. Let me see where that is. So let me just pull this up. So this is like a very fancy demo that we created, which you can take a look at, but this is what eventually the app can look like. So you have a map. So once you have the application, what you do is create a map and then ingest the data onto the map. So when you say ingest data, what are you doing is you are reading the latitude and longitude sections or columns from the data, and you are using a marker function to plot it on top of a map. So a marker is an object on top of a map, and it takes inputs as latitude and longitude. So you can take that and plot it on the map. So you've ingested this data. Along with it, you can also add map data, so marker data, so marker data field to this marker. So you have a marker which represents our truck now, and it is associated with more data like engine temperature, coolant temperature, or fuel levels, etc. So you have add that, and then you add your services on top of it. So by services, I mean the here location services, which is one, the geocoding service, right? So you have the geocoding service, or rather the reverse geocoding service here, which takes latitude and longitude and gives you the written address of that location of the nearest point. So like you can see, you have this truck here, and what it does is it gives you the address, like they're written in the string form of address with using the reverse geocoding API. You can also use more APIs or services like routing, and it will show you the route from the origin of, so where did the truck leave from? So that's the origin. And the isoline routing, so where can the truck go? So if the truck breaks down here, or if it has very less fuel left, where can it go in 5 minutes? And so that is this isoline that shows you where can this truck go in 5 minutes and stuff like that. And so one of the things I missed out on telling you is how do I right now, how do I get the data from these trucks? So for this workshop, we're also using a script, a producer script, which is basically creating some dummy data for trucks. Right now, we don't have actual trucks running around giving us data. But what I'm using is a script which is creating or generating this data. So every second, it will give me data for trucks with latitude, longitude, engine, temperature, blah, 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 all that data. It will just generate the script, which will be fed into the event hub. So that is something I had missed on saying. So this is, again, in a way, this is dummy data. And then you can build your dashboards on top of it. So this is not what I'm going to display today. Like, this is not what I'm going to show today, is the dashboard part of it, but you can build all these dashboards on top of it for the user, for the fleet owner to take a look at. So I hope our deployment, the deployment takes some time. So I think we're going to wait a couple of minutes more for the deployment until we get a message that deployment is done. So meanwhile, I can take some questions. Oh, okay, perfect. We're done with the deployment of the ARM template. So as you can see with the ARM template, what we have is we have the event hub, we have the serverless function, and then you have the Azure Cosmos DB account, or the DB interface that comes with it. So we are going to configure this, or we are going to use the keys in this. So quickly, what we're going to do is I'm going to open my any text editor or anything for that matter, and save the keys, which I'm going to show you soon. So what I need to do is first go to the Azure Cosmos DB account, click on this. And once you open the resource, you will see on the left, you have something called keys. So click on keys and you see the URI, and copy this down in your text editor. And we are going to use this in our integration going forward. So let me copy this down. Then you need to also copy the primary key. So again, copy the primary key and save it. Next, go back to the resource template and then go to the Event Hub namespace. So once you go to the Event Hub namespace, click on the shared access policies, click on the access key. You can either create one or like use the standard one. And from that, copy the connection string primary key. So I'm going to highlight it again. So the connection string primary key, copy that one and save it. And we are going to use it in our procedure next. So once I have this, there's one tiny thing that you need to do. So within the Event Hub, type advanced. Okay, give me a second. Oh, sorry, my bad. So go to the serverless function, the app service that says this. Go to the app service, and on the left-hand side menu, type advanced tools. And in this advanced tools is where you'll see the serverless function that has been created. And we need to make a tiny change in this one. So let's do that. Again, I will update this when I'm done with this particular workshop, but this is a tiny adjustment you can make right now. So go to the HLS libs and go to the request processor.js. Ideally, you wouldn't edit these. but for now, just go ahead with it and look for something called gconfig. So there's a tiny typo here. Get rid of the typo, make it config, and click on save. So this is the tiny thing that I was talking about, an adjustment that you would need to make. And once you save this, you can just close this and go back to your trial. Now, once you're there, you can go to the Event Hub. And within the Event Hub now, you should, let me just check this. Okay, so once you've done with this, go to the resource group and then click on the PowerShell here. So if you see, you'll have a PowerShell button here. So just click on it and it will open up a VS Code window, and it will take some time to initialize. Once it is initialized, we are going to add the producer script here. So you can see you are in your home. Right now, there is nothing here. What you need to do is click on this upload button and open up the zip file, the producer script. So now I'm going to send you the links of these files and you can work along with me. So it is called several fleet management workshops. So I'm going to put the link in the chat and you can download this from here. So I have the link in the chat and everyone can access it. And yeah, basically you can take this from there. And when you download it, you'll see that you have a zip file there. Now you need to extract it. So we are going to quickly do that. So it says expand archive producer.zip. Once you do that, you just go into the producer and you need to now open and make a few changes wherein you will add the API keys that you stored. So click on the editor and the VS Code editor will open up. Now go to the producer and click on config.json. And this is where you will be putting in all your keys. So to start with, the here API key, then the event hub URI and primary key. So the event hub, what was it called? The string, yeah, connection string primary key. So I'm going to add that. Then the Cosmos DB URI. And the primary key for Cosmos DB as well. So if you see this, this is basically, we are sending some lat long and some kind of other data with every truck. And you can click on save and then close the editor. You can just do npm install and you'll see if everything is fine in the script. Once you do that, you just need to execute it and it will send some data. So let's do that. Node producer.js. and 8. So which means that it will send data for 8 vehicles. So like you see, it is sending data for 8 trucks, and it is just lat long information per second with some more details here. So I'm going to stop the script now. This was just to create to see if everything is working well. I'm going to stop the script now and go to the next section. So once you do that, again, now what you need is you have the producer script. So you have the truck sending in the data in a way. You have your Cosmos DB serverless function and the event hub configured. Now what you need is a web. So click on create a resource and type in web app there. And you can just click on create. It will ask you details of the resource. So select the same resource group that you are using. So the NIPP trial is the one that I'm using. You should give a nice unique name for your web app. So I think fleet demo will be taken. Oh, well, fleet demo isn't taken. I'm surprised. But we have fleet demo. And choose a runtime stack as Node 10 and the operating system as Windows. And let everything be as it is, like just keep everything as it is and press on review and create. So again, this will also take a couple of minutes to deploy when you click on create. So do not forget clicking on create. So while this is getting deployed, I can take a couple of questions. So I think Prasad is asking if it is possible to have on-premises here servers. So if you mean servers for storing location data, what you may want to look at is the Here Data Hub. And again, you can access the Here Data Hub on the freemium license, which also has a limit on the transactions that you can make or the amount of data that you can store. But you can definitely take a look at a Here Data Hub, and you'll find it on developer.here.com. So if you go here, and in the products, you will see that you have the Here Data Hub. Let me, yeah, on the left. So you have the Here Data Hub, and again, you can read more about it and find out, and you can also access it with your freemium key. So that was that. Then let's see, what else do we have? So I think I have a lot of questions on pricing and how do we compare with our competitors like Google Maps and so on. So I can actually show you the pricing page here. So in terms of pricing, we have these 3 and more flexible models wherein with a freemium, you don't pay us anything and you have 250,000 transactions per month, which are free. And when you say transactions, it means not necessarily one API call. It's different for different APIs depending on how heavy the API is. And you'll find the details in the FAQ section on what API takes how many transactions. But to give you an idea, loading a vector map, so we have raster tile maps and vector maps. And so loading a raster tile map, so like a full screen of maps, 15 tiles would make one transaction for raster tiles. Whereas for vector maps, 5 tiles would make one transaction. And for routing, it would be one call. For matrix routing, if you have 2 inputs and hundreds outputs, it will be 2 different calls depending on every destination. So the transaction to yeah, API call ratio changes there, but this is how it works. And then if you don't want to go to the directly the pro plan, you can just use an add-on plan where you can pay 1,000 like €1 per 1,000 transactions as you go ahead. And for the data hub, so you have a database storage of 5 GB per month and a data transfer of 2.5 GB per month that you can use still on the freemium. So that is where we have a huge freemium base we as compared to our competitors on, and this is just the pricing point of it, right? And then if you want to go pro, you can talk to our team and then get a plan that you basically fits you. On the other hand, if you look at our documentation page, we have more than 20 APIs which are available under freemium. So we don't, we give you access to almost all of our APIs under freemium. And you have basically all these APIs depending on what kind of use case are you looking at. So if you're looking at making web maps which are interactive, you have the interactive maps API with JavaScript. And on the other hand, you also have, if you want to give something like after a delivery, you get the small map with like a small route on it, and it's more of an image, and it's not really an interactive map, but it just shows what was the distance covered for your ride or something. And so you could use a map image API there in if you wanted a light version of it. So there's a bunch of different APIs that you can use. You have the geocoding and search, which is hey, I have an address, I want to find where the place is. Or the other one, I have a location, how do I find the address? And then there is a huge POI search, so which is I'm here, I want to find all cafes around me, I want to find hospitals around me, and so on and so forth. Then you have different routing APIs depending on what kind of routing you need. So you have the normal routing API, transit routing, and then you also have the fleet telematics routing. So this is more interesting for our application for today, wherein we are looking at specifically delivery services kind of applications, wherein it needs much more applications, which is geofencing, which is like, I want to know when my truck arrives in a 10-kilometer distance of my warehouse. And so you can create geofences and get notifications when the truck arrives there. You have custom locations wherein you want to have certain locations available only to your users, and you don't want to put them on the normal map for everyone to see. So you can do that, and so on and so forth. So that is how I would say we compare, because we have more elaborate map data, like the underlying map data is more rich because we've not been so we've primarily been a map making company, which is why we have more map data, more rich map data. So that is how I would compare the two, if that answers your question. And okay, so going back to our implementation, once you create the web app, you can just open or launch the web app, and you will see that you get a URL for your web app. It won't work yet because we haven't added some keys there. So we need to add some more keys, just a few steps left. So go to configuration and then make sure the website no default version is 10. So sometimes it changes it. So this is just to make sure it is the same. Once you do that, type advanced tools, and then we need to add our API keys in one more tiny place. So click on tools and click zip push deploy. So like I said, we haven't really added our application code yet. So to add that, and I'm going to send you the link again to download that zip file. So web app. So this is the file that I'm using. This is the demo application that we created. I'm going to put it into the chat. Give me a second here. So this is the fleet dashboard zip file that I'm going to use. And let me upload that here. So I can just drag this file in and it will unzip itself. Did it go through? I don't think it went through. Let me try that again. Yeah, now it's doing its magic. So it will sort of extract itself, and then you'll get something that says your it's deployed. Perfect. So once you have that, again, go to config.js and then put in your Cosmos DB URI. So this is one, because again, this application is interacting with your Cosmos DB to get this data from the database to plot it in here. So you need to provide it those keys. And once you have that, click on save. One more thing in the script, in the truck dashboard, you need to put your here API key for the map part of it. So you copy this, click on save, and once you do that, you're pretty much done. You're pretty much done. Yeah, I would say that. So let's see, let's refresh this, and you should possibly have your app going. So this is how you'll see the app, and you should soon see your fleet on there. If you don't see it, it's always a good idea to check if the data is going into your DB. So click on the DB account and click on Data Explorer, and you should see some data here. So I can see that there is no data here. So there is probably something wrong with the Event Hub. So let's go check that. Okay, this is our app service. I'm going to switch to classic experience and take a look at what is wrong with our functions and if the trigger is working. So you may want to change this trigger if your trigger isn't working. So I'm going to create a new trigger and make sure it is a Azure Event Hub trigger. Click install if the extension is not installed. So that might have been the problem where it was taking time. So let's click install and then change these things to what it was before. So this is Event Message Hub. This was here API Event Hub. This was one, and this was Event Hub in a string. So give it a couple of minutes while this is still installing. And then go and check, once this is done, then go and check your, what was it called? Your database, sorry. Your database where you should see some data coming in there. Give it some time. Meanwhile, we can definitely start. So this is more or less done. And once this is done, you'll see something like this. So I can share another implementation that I have going on here. Maybe my internet is not letting me install this extension, but I'm going to show you another demo. Okay. I think we don't have enough time to install this again, but I'm going to show you another demo of what will happen when you create this. So what you will see is perfect. So you'll see a map like this, and you'll see your trucks there. And then if you type dashboard, what was that chart? I completely forgot. What was the app called? So let's go back to the app. So in the view graph, okay, wow. So now if you put slash graph, you will see, if you check truck one, you will see the engine temperature graphs and like the small dashboard that we've created. So this is more or less what you will see with when your data starts coming into your hub. So yeah, basically that was the implementation. Again, if you've taken a look at the links I've shared for these zip files, you'll also find the link to the tutorial. So you can also go to the tutorial and do it do it step by step, not with a video, but like with something written in front of you, which is sometimes more convenient. So Vaishnavi is asking, what is a trigger? What it means is you have this the truck sending in data continuously in your event hub. That is where the events or the data entries are captured, right? And what you want to do is you want to read this data and then push them in the DB. You want to process them a little bit and push them in a meaningful way. And so what you're doing is you're making a trigger that if I get a new event in my data hub, then do something. So that is basically the trigger that we are looking at. And uh, so Kevin asked, what is the cost per fleet for Azure models and here services after the free usage every 1 minute update? So the fleet usage, the template is just a template. You are open to create your own templates and use only the APIs that you want. Right now, we have created this using a bunch of different APIs, which you may or may not need. So I'm trying to look for my mouse here. Let me just get that. So you can go to the here Azure Home and then check out the pricing plans when you move beyond the basically the free, sorry, the free parameter that they have, the free structure that they have. So is it possible? So Prasad asks if is it possible to overlay CAD drawings over here maps. So if you mean CAD drawings like just basic objects, then definitely. So there is a separate API where you can just overlay objects on top of maps, and it is the object API. So if I could show you this. If you go down here, you have map objects and you can have any kind of overlays on top of the map. And so if it's just a circle, rectangle, whatever shapes, or if they are geo shapes, you can overlay them on top of a map. On the other hand, if you want like a more visualization part of it, so you can go to studio.here.com, and that is where you can upload map data and then other visual data to directly create a map without or with very less or almost no coding. So this is a map which shows all the water lines in Nairobi and some points of interest. And so this can be created with just like basically no code at all, and just upload your data on the data hub and you can visualize it.
So we are actually on time now. Thanks for all the questions. Unfortunately, won't be able to answer them all, but feel free to ping us on Twitter or LinkedIn and engage with us. We are available. I think, yeah, Shruti, you can share
Yeah,
the slides finally, and then we have
yeah.
one last poll to finish this workshop.
So yeah, if you have any questions after this, please hit us up on any of these social media channels. We are available to talk to you. If you want to just discuss something, join our Slack and we can have a discussion on new use cases that you have. And as I said, I was going to mention one last thing while the poll is being launched. While you answer the poll, what I can discuss is that someone suggested that we have a lot of use cases where AWS, they wanted to learn more about AWS resources. So if you go on our YouTube channel, there is a whole season of webinars or videos that we have. It's called AWS Waypoints. No, what is it called, Daniela? Do you remember? AWS something.
It's
So if you
AWS
just
connections. I'm sorry, I
connections,
was on
thank you,
mute.
thank you. So AWS connections. If you just go on the Here Maps and search for the AWS connections playlist, you'll get a step-by-step way into creating AWS applications with your location technologies. So go ahead. You can also go to our blog section as well as our tutorial section, and you'll find a bunch of more tutorials where you can use our codes into really nice use cases.
So I guess it's time to close the poll. I saw lots of votes, so we share the
So
results.
perfect. Let's see. So I can see that a lot of you want fleet tracking with AWS as the next one. So you can definitely go to the YouTube channel and look for it. But we can also think about something with specifically fleet tracking. We have a lot of machine learning with location technology. We have mobile applications with React, Flutter, and then IoT with IBM. So that's exciting, and we will definitely take a look at what you guys need. And I would like to lastly plug in 3 more workshops that we're doing in the same series. So this workshop was a part of a 6 workshop series with NIPP NASCOM and Incubate India. And we have 3 more workshops coming up. There is one coming up soon on the 31st of August. And it was going to be about, let me just check. Daniela, do you remember the name?
It's about visual recognition with IBM Watson.
That's right. So it is an amazing, exciting workshop about visual recognition with IBM Watson and how you can use location technology with visual recognition and create something really fancy. So we will put out the links for registration on all these channels. So keep following us here and hope to see you in the next few webinars and workshops. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.